A Boy with the Big Red Heart. Full audio vision from chapters 1 to 5.
A Boy with a Big Red Heart, Part 1. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Sean, who had a big heart brimming with love to share, show, and give to the world. Despite his generosity, he learned a tough lesson about guarding his heart more closely after it was broken. The youngest of 4 siblings, Sean adored beauty and art. He reminded adults, who had forgotten what love looked like, with his vibrant, healthy red heart, showing them how love once appeared in their lives. He comforted his sad friends by offering them his heart to hold, and he extended his kindness to strangers, animals, and anyone hurt or who had forgotten what a beating red heart looked like. However, sometimes Sean forgot to return that love to himself. One day, while sharing his big heart with everyone, Sean left it with a boy who needed it the most. When asked about his heart's whereabouts, Sean said, "I left it with a friend." Many adults looked at him with disapproval and said, "Well, boy, you should only give your heart to a girl, not a boy. That is wrong. Please don't do it again." Feeling saddened, Sean replied, "But I love him, so I left my heart with him, and I think he needs it more than I do." Over time, friends, family, and others insisted that boys should only give their hearts to girls, not to other boys. Confused, upset, and scared, Sean believed he must have done something wrong. So, he sought to retrieve his heart from the other boy. The other boy was also upset, because he had intended to give his heart to Sean. They came up with a plan. What if we exchange our hearts and pretend they are our own but don't tell anyone? They secretly did just that. Every night, they would take out their exchanged hearts and listen to each other's heartbeats as they fell asleep. One night, Sean's mother entered his room and saw his heart on the nightstand. Picking it up, she thought, "What a careless little boy. How many times have I told you not to leave your heart out for others to see?" She decided to punish him by locking his heart in a drawer, pretending it had been stolen. The next day, Sean was distraught, unable to find his heart and fearing it had been stolen. He searched everywhere under the bed, in the living room, even in the kitchen and the garden. In a panic, he asked everyone, "Have you seen my heart?" It disappeared, but no one had seen it. He was even more distressed because he didn't know how to explain that it wasn't his heart, but the one he had exchanged with the other boy. Now, he couldn't hear the other boy's heartbeat, and he felt he had betrayed his friend's trust. When it was time to meet again, Sean was terrified and unsure how to explain what had happened to his heart. When the other boy discovered the truth, he became furious, thinking Sean had been irresponsible. He yelled, "See, I shouldn't have trusted you. Everyone warned me you were careless and liked to show off your heart, and they also said not to get close to you because you are weird." He threw Sean's heart onto the floor and ran away, shouting, "I never want to see you again." Sean picked up his heart from the floor, but it was broken into many pieces. He didn't know how to put it back together. He rushed home and confessed to his mom, who was surprised he had discovered the locked heart. She gave him a hug and admonished, "How silly are you to exchange your heart with another boy? Now your heart is broken, and even if I put it back together, it will never be the same. But please, from now on, take care of your heart." She returned his friend's heart so his friend could have his own heart back. Sean's heart was stitched back together by his mother, but he was never the same again. Once proud to show his heart to everyone, he became extremely cautious, fearful that it might break again and never be mended.
Part 2. A Boy with the Big Red Heart. The Longing of the Heart. The boy with the big red heart, Sean, is now a young adult. Holding his heart stitched back together by his mother when he was a boy, Sean, who was once brave, happy, and innocent, has now become scared and weary. He no longer shows people his heart because of its imperfections, even though he still has a big heart full of longing. He resists sharing it with another boy. Although society has become more accepting, Sean still feels deeply ashamed of his broken heart and its faded color. Sean still hopes to find another man with whom he can exchange hearts. However, despite his longing, he hides when people ask him to show his heart. He runs when people offer theirs to him, and he pretends not to care, even though all he wants is to show his heart. His heart has begun to harden, piece by piece. Its color is fading. What was once a broken heart is now fragile and fragmented. At times, the heartbeat becomes so light and faint that even Sean can barely hear it. To him, this might be for the best, he thinks, because it doesn't hurt as much when he stops thinking about the possibility of finding someone who might want to see his heart. To avoid being hurt, Sean buries his heart deep inside his body, so no one can see it, no one can hear it, and no one can touch it. Despite his best attempts, Sean still longs for love, yet pretends not to care. Not out of hate, but from fear of what others might think when they discover how ugly his heart has become. Until one day, he unexpectedly meets someone. On a rainy, gloomy day, Sean stands with an umbrella in front of a busy pedestrian crossing, waiting for the traffic light to turn red. It's early morning, and people are rushing to work. Sean, deep in thought as usual, crosses the street when the light turns green. Something catches his eye. A young man he's never seen before, even though he's taken the same route hundreds of times. For a second, he has an out-of-body experience. "Hi, sir, want to buy some flowers?" the young man says, standing in front of him with a big smile. Sean unknowingly walks into the shop. Feeling embarrassed, he says to himself, "Oh, it's a florist shop." The young man laughs. "Yes, that's what we call it." Sean quickly points toward the lisianthus. "Can you please wrap this up for me?" "Yes," the florist says. Sean sees his name tag. Amory. "What a lovely name," Sean says, brushing his hair back. "Oh, I hated it," Amory replies. "Why? It's such a girl's name. According to my parents, it's an old, really old, name from German origin. Well, when you have Asian parents trying to fit into society, they just pick any name for you." Amory starts laughing, then stops. "Sorry, I talk too much." Sean answers, "Not at all. I think it's beautiful." He pauses. "Oh, sorry, it's poetic." He stops, trying to say something appropriate without sounding weird. "That's so kind of you. And your name?" "Sean," he replies. It's been 2 weeks since Sean started coming in to buy flowers every day. Amory and Sean are slowly getting to know each other. Amory has never felt so alive. He looks forward to seeing Sean, and he senses Sean might have a crush on him. Yet Sean never initiates anything. "When are you going to ask me out?" Amory says with a laugh. "It's a bit obvious. You didn't even know the name of the lisianthus the first time you were here." "Oh," Sean says. "That was for a friend of mine in hospital. I think he'll be discharged soon." "Damn. I thought you were into me," Amory replies, and they both laugh. In the next several days, Amory hopes to see Sean again, but since their last conversation, Sean hasn't come back. Despite his disappointment, Amory thinks maybe he really did get the flower for a friend. Crouching down to arrange the flowers, talking to himself, Amory stands up and heads toward the counter. He hears someone walking behind him. "Give me a second, I'll be with you," he says, without turning around. He hears a familiar voice. "Sure. Until you're ready." Amory pauses and turns around. He's almost tempted to run and hug him. With all his restraint, he walks a couple of steps closer. "Lovely to see you. Your friend is all good now." Sean hesitates a bit. "About the dinner you mentioned, you still interested?" Amory's heart beats faster than a bullet train. He looks at Sean in disbelief and says, "Yes. Actually, a loud yes. Sorry, was that too desperate?" They both laugh. The first date is amazing. Sean had forgotten how nice it feels to hear his own heartbeat again. Amory has sparked something Sean had long forgotten. The joy of a connection, of his heart singing once more. In this world, when two people truly feel for each other, a light-coloured thread visible to the human eye begins to form. It's a sign that their hearts are singing together. Despite this harmony, Sean is still deeply afraid. He goes home and cries. Not because he's unhappy, but because he's too happy. So happy that it scares him. He's been rejected so many times after people saw his broken heart, teased, laughed at, judged. He lies on the floor, paralyzed with fear, and cries until he falls asleep that night. On their third date, after dinner, Amory and Sean walk together hand in hand, talking and laughing about the customers Amory serves, flowers they buy for their girlfriends, and bizarre online requests with erotic messages. The night is cold, filled with winter fog, yet beautifully mesmerizing. Streetlights and car beams shine through the mist, creating a moving symphony that dances through the night. The sky, despite the chill, is bright with a full moon and stars. Standing in front of Amory's flat, they both see the thread between them has grown brighter and more luminous. As a gesture of love, Amory holds Sean's hand and places it over his chest. Slowly, Amory's heart begins to glow in a shining deep rose or soft crimson. a colour that represents love that is not just romantic, but soulful and emotionally layered. It carries warmth, devotion, and tenderness with a maturity that white does not. It's love that has known pain, yet still chooses to open. Amory slowly reaches towards Sean's chest. Before his hand can touch him, Sean suddenly moves back, shaking and breathless, staring at Amory like a deer caught in headlights. "Sorry, I have to go." "Early morning," Sean says quickly, walking away and slowly disappearing into the fog and light. Standing under the street lamp, Amory thinks, have I done something wrong? Did I move too fast again? He feels frustrated. I've done it again. Slowly, he walks back to his flat, quietly, with tears running down his cheek. Man, I really thought I had a chance this time. Sean reaches home, shuts the door behind him, and slides down onto the floor in the dark. Tears stream down his face. I wanted this so much, he thinks, but what if he saw my broken, fragile heart? Would he still like me? For years, Sean had given up hope of hearing his heartbeat again. But tonight, it wasn't just beating. It was loud and fast, and that scared him even more. Especially when he touched Amory's heart. Amory had opened a deep-seated longing Sean had long buried. Inside him, hidden from the world, are fear, vulnerability, and ache. Parts of himself he still isn't ready to show. Part 3. A boy with a big red heart. The evening they never forget. Sean, filled with fear and heartache, lay on the floor. For the very first time, he took his heart out and stared at it. He was angry at his younger self for being so careless, angry at how naive he had been to believe things could have turned out differently. He was angry because he didn't know what to do now. All he had left was this broken heart. In this society, a person's heart symbolizes their mental strength. It's almost a reflection of one's mind. Sean knew exactly why his heart was broken, why it wasn't what it appeared to be. But he also knew that not everyone in this busy world cared to understand the reasons behind such things. When people saw a heart like his, shattered and raw, they often assumed it was a damaged heart, one beyond repair. He knew how society, Amory, or anyone else might judge him, even if Amory wouldn't. He sat there, still on the floor, staring blankly into his heart. Then he saw something he had never seen before. Amory's glowing colours were faintly flickering within the broken pieces of his heart. Suddenly, Sean burst into tears. He was overwhelmed. He had heard of something like this before, but he had never truly felt it. Amory was sending healing love to him. Sean was touched, but at the same time, he wondered, do I even deserve love like this? Amory, lying on his bed, kept thinking about what had happened when Sean pulled away. He ran through the entire evening in his mind, over and over again, caught in a loop of sadness. He thought, people always say I move too fast. Maybe that scared him. He turned to the other side of his queen-size bed, the white floor cool beneath him, framed by a Rodin-style bed frame. 1980s pop art hand poster hung directly above the bed. The room was clean and tidy, with a few houseplants, an L-shaped study desk in the corner, and a window on the left where he could see the moonlight shining through. Half asleep and still lost in thought, Amory whispered to himself, whatever it is, I just hope he's okay. Unknowingly, Amory's heart sent out a strong signal, a burst of healing energy that reached Sean. Just before he drifted off, his heart began to glow with a soft crimson light, releasing a gentle wave of love that pulsed across the space between them and touched Sean's heart. Every day, Amory hoped to see Sean walk into his flower shop. He couldn't concentrate. Every time the phone rang, or he heard footsteps approaching, he hoped it was Sean. But each call and every footstep only brought more disappointment. Saturday evening, usually one of the busiest times of the week, had finally wound down. After a long day, Amory was ready to close the shop. Just as he was about to lock the door, a man walked in quickly. He started to say, I'm closing, but then saw Sean standing in front of him. In that moment, Amory froze. He didn't know how to react. He was excited to see Sean again, but also upset. Why hadn't Sean called? Why hadn't he even sent a text? Amory had messaged him several times, to the point where he felt like a stalker. Sean could sense what Amory was thinking. He quickly said, I want to apologize for that night. Amory took a deep breath, unsure of what to say. Can we talk? Sean asked. Amory nodded. Let me close the shop first. They sat together at the counter where Amory usually arranged his flowers. He made them both some tea, and they sat side by side. Sean leaned in closer and said, I'm really sorry. A tear slowly rolled down Amory's cheek. He had been hoping to see Sean again, waiting nearly 2 weeks without a word. He looked up just as Sean looked down and said softly, I should have called you earlier. Suddenly, Amory burst out like a little boy, blurting, I thought I might never see you again. Sean started giggling. Amory paused mid-tear and stared at him. What's so funny? You're so cute when you cry, Sean said. Amory laughed, wiping his cheek. I know. I only know how to do a little quiet cry or a big, loud, dramatic one. Nothing in between. They both paused, then suddenly burst into laughter again. Sean stopped and looked at him seriously. I missed you. I missed you too, Amory replied. Sean pulled Amory close and began to kiss him. Part 4. A boy with a big red heart. The unexpected healing. Back on the night when Sean saw the light slowly glowing inside his heart, he stared at it and wondered if it was a mistake. He watched the glow, pulsing in sync with his heartbeat. That little flicker of light was an ancient healing energy, one that only true and unconditional love could awaken. A broken heart could only begin to heal when touched by something so pure. As he stared at the light and its color, Sean knew this had to have been triggered by Amory. Sean picked up his heart, still watching the glow. It was intertwined with the color of his own heart, bright red. Although the red had been faded for so long, this was the first time in years that Sean had seen his heart shine. He wiped away his tears, eyes fixed on the glowing heart. In that moment, he suddenly realized what it all meant. Even without ever seeing Sean's heart, Amory must have unknowingly activated an ancient form of healing that had long been forgotten. The next day, Amory woke up as usual. He had his breakfast, made a coffee, and drove to his shop just before 7 a.m. to begin his routine, restocking flowers, arranging deliveries, tidying the shop, and opening early so people on their way to work could grab flowers for a birthday or make a last-minute order. It was always busy, but today, Amory just couldn't focus. All he could think about was what had happened the night before. Each time Amory revisited the moment he held Sean's hand and placed it over his heart, a new wave of energy seemed to flow to Sean. And with every one of those thoughts, the glow inside Sean's heart grew stronger and brighter. Sean had been staying home, not going to work, not even stepping outside. He was completely fixated on the slow glow in his heart. Every day, the bright red light intertwined with the soft crimson, a feeling he hadn't known for a long time. But each heartbeat also reminded him of the heartache, the betrayal, the longing, and the fear he had lived through, and of the painful story he had told himself for years, that he didn't deserve love. On day 14, when his heart had finally returned to its full bright red color, Sean couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was deeply moved by the unconditional love Amory had shown him. And in that realization, Sean knew he had to act. He stood up, looking exhausted, but deeply moved by the past 14 days of Amory's unwavering devotion, carried by nothing but pure thought. He wondered whether Amory had any idea what he had done. Sean rushed to the shower and shaved away the unkempt stubble that had grown over 2 weeks. Standing in front of the mirror, he suddenly remembered what it felt like. To be loved, to be held by someone who saw him, truly saw him. Or did he know? Sean paused. But this time he was sure. He couldn't walk away from someone who had changed his life. Not for who Sean was, or what shape or color his heart had become, but simply just because. Sean ran into his closet. His one-bedroom apartment with its sleek modern kitchen was now a mess. Dishes and cups were stacked in the sink, unwashed. The rubbish bin was overflowing with pizza boxes and fast food containers. The dining table, once clean and tidy, now looked like someone had left in a hurry and forgotten to clean up after themselves. His imprint could still be seen on the leather couch. Sean had always been a tidy person. Some might even call him obsessive. But the truth was, it was one of the few things he felt he could control in his life. Where the pen belonged on the desk. Which drawer the shirts or shorts went into. These small details gave his world a fragile order. But if someone walked into his apartment today, they wouldn't see any of that. That impression would be gone. Sean had always been a tidy person. Some might even call him obsessive. But the truth was, it was one of the few things he felt he could control in his life. Where the pen belonged on the desk. Which drawer the shirts or shorts went into. These small details gave his world a fragile order. But if someone walked into his apartment today, they wouldn't see any of that. That impression would be gone. Running down the apartment corridor, Sean now looked better, freshly showered, wearing clean clothes. His eyes, though, were tired, a quiet red from days of emotion. He caught a taxi and gave the driver the address to Amory's florist. Part 5. A boy with a big red heart. The journey back to one's true self. Kissing each other on the lips, Amory started giggling. Sean pulled back. Was I that bad? No, not at all, Amory replied, still laughing. I was just thinking about how it would feel to kiss your lips. Oh. Sorry, shit. That sounds weird. Sean leaned in again, smiled, and said softly, Not at all. Can I ask you something? Amory said. Sean answered immediately, Yes. It's about the night you ran away, when I was about to touch your heart. Why did you leave? Amory asked gently. For the first time in a long time, Sean took out his big, broken red heart and showed it to Amory. "Wow, that's beautiful," Amory whispered, mesmerized. Sean looked away and began to tell him the story. How he had broken his own heart when he was a child, out of carelessness and naivety. Though it had happened so long ago, the pain still lingered. Amory could hear the quiet regret woven through Sean's voice. Amory reached out and held Sean's hand. "Listen, you were young. And look, it's still beautiful." "No," Sean said. "You don't understand. Something happened after I ran away that night." "What do you mean?" Sean began to share the rest of his journey. How his heart had faded over the years, how he had hidden it away. And how, when he returned home that night, he saw it glowing with a soft crimson light. That glow, he explained, had been triggered by Amory's unconditional love. Amory's face flushed. "Oh my God, no wonder people say I don't know how to hide my feelings." Sean smiled, then leaned in. "No, don't you get it? It was you. You healed my broken, faded heart. It was your love. Pure, unconditional. I felt it. But I was too ashamed to show you my heart. Still, you somehow awakened something ancient in me. A love without judgment, without expectation. Just because your heart felt it." Although Sean's heart had returned to its color, the cracks were still visible. The seams, the stitches, the gaps between the pieces. He was still deeply embarrassed by it. But then, something miraculous began to happen again. As their lights intertwined, heart to heart, their colors turned to gold. A brilliant, warm golden light began to form, filling the spaces between the cracks in Sean's heart. It was like kintsugi, the ancient Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Rather than hiding the damage, it honored it, celebrated it, made it part of the beauty. Sean broke down in tears. This was all he had ever wanted. To mend his broken heart. The years spent hiding, pretending, covering himself because of his pain had been so lonely. So many nights he had wondered if true love even existed. Once, he had just been a boy who wanted to give, to love, to share without needing to be asked. But the judgments of society, the expectations, the fear, taught him to hide. He had buried his feelings so deeply that he forgot who he was. Now, the pain of all that pretending, all that silence, finally came to light. Amory held him tightly. "I saw you," he whispered. "I saw you the very first day you walked into the shop. You can let it go now. You can be yourself. No more hiding. I'm here with you." For so long Sean had searched for love, but what he had buried deep within wasn't just his heart, it was his true self. And now he realized something profound. By mending his heart, he wasn't just finding the love he had always longed for. He was also finding the boy with the big red heart, the one who had loved deeply, unconditionally, and selflessly. And in the end, the true gift wasn't the love itself. It was the journey back to who he truly was.